Everything happens in a context. That's a truism. But what's more important is that context is what makes things mean something. Try this. Tell a really dirty joke to your very best friend, the one you've known for years. That's one thing. Tell that same dirty joke to the person you're out on a first date with. Yeah, context is everything. Religion. All religion. Religion in general has a context, but people tend to overlook that. The average person simply assumes that Hinduism or Judaism and all its offshoots are simply part of our human DNA. We've always, we assume, had some picture of a transcendent God that we're trying to understand and align our lives with. Yeah, right. We Homo sapiens have been around for a long time, some 200,000 years or more. And Judaism and Hinduism, they've been around for 3,500 years or less. That's less than 2% of our time on Earth. So have we always really been religious? We have so much to talk about. Look at these three prehistoric paintings from caves near Lascaux, France and Altamira, Spain. They date to 17,000 years ago or more. The playfulness of the hands, the dance scene in the middle, and the sassy pose of the woman, at least I think it's a woman, on the right, all point to something that's hardly brutish. Prehistoric studies look at a lot of things that Hobbes couldn't, like studies of prehistoric human remains and DNA and prehistoric climate and poo. Poo is so informative. The result is an expanding picture that tells us that prehistoric life was like living in the Garden of Eden. As hunters and gatherers, we moved in clans of 25 to 125, and we were all pretty much related, a big extended family. Prehistory studies, and when you're done with the video, make sure you check out footnote 1, reveal that we were actually pretty disease-free. Most of our common illnesses, like colds and flus and chickenpox and measles, are animal-borne diseases, and they didn't cross over to us until we settled down as farmers and began to live with our animals. Hunger was relatively non-existent, but of course it was, since we went where the food was. Nutrition was great since we ate a wide variety of foods, and there's no evidence that clans fought any kind of group-on-group violence, aka war. Their lifestyle didn't present them with the reasons for war. There was plenty of food, they didn't own or control territory, and they had little by way of personal property. Life expectancy was actually pretty long, about 70, as long as you made it out of infancy, and at this point you want to make sure you check out that second footnote down below. Indeed, when two clans came upon each other, it was a chance for a party and a reshuffling of membership, which people call exogamy, but give me a second and I'll explain that I don't think that word or the idea is very helpful here. And by the way, footnote 3 down below will take you to a news story about the discovery of a beach party and a clam bake that took place 164,000 years ago, probably the result of two hunter-gatherer clans coming up upon each other. So why the question on exogamy? Well, the idea of exogamy depends on an assumption about the gamy part of the word. It means union. In this case, it's about the union between one person in one clan with another person in another clan. Monogamy, polygamy, endogamy, even gamete. Remember that one from biology? They're all about the idea of two becoming one. But prehistoric relationships were different. There's a lot of scientific evidence to suggest we didn't pair up. We just hooked up a lot with anyone and everyone, even if they weren't our own species. Yeah, we crossed that line quite a lot. Plenty to eat, short work days, long lifespans, and lots of sex. And art. Did I mention all the art? So why would we ever give all of that up? The easy answer is the Ice Age. That last Ice Age set in around 12,000 years ago, and hunters and gatherers in Europe and Russia were pushed to near elimination. Some made it through there in Spain and France. Many made it through Anatolia, that's Turkey, down into Mesopotamia, Iraq and Syria, or over into the Levant, that's Lebanon, Israel, and Palestine, and they found other clans there. And the reality is that the people in Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus River Valley, that's now Pakistan, and the Yellow River Basin of China, they were less threatened by the Ice Age. But human beings nonetheless came dangerously close to extinction. We had maintained a global population of about 1 million for tens of thousands of years. And anthropologists estimate that our population may have dropped to 12,000 worldwide as a result of the Ice Age. So maybe, out of fear for our survival, we began farming. Or maybe we simply drowned our sorrows in beer. There's very strong evidence that human beings settled down because we like beer. Beer needs barley. A lot of beer needs a lot of barley, and that means farming. Footnote 4 will take you to a Smithsonian article about a 2018 discovery of a 13,000-year-old brewery in what is now Israel. And that is thousands of years before evidence that we baked grains into bread. Whatever our motives were, things began to change big time. 2 or 3 clans settled down together into small villages of 200 or 300 people. The oldest of these seems to be Jericho, of biblical fame. But now, you don't live by family traditions and family rules, so we needed other rules, and we needed someone to enforce the rules, and we got chieftains and kings. And we got religion forming up to motivate everybody to play nice together. Life depended on nature being just right, with just the right amount of rain and just the right amount of sunshine at just the right time. And people tried to appease the powers behind it all, and you see where this is going. Now the food supply was no longer as diverse as it was before and focused instead on grains like wheat and millet. But man does not live by bread alone, so we domesticated animals. First the dog, of course, but then cows and sheep and goats and chickens and other fowl. And when you have domesticated animals, they're in danger at night from wolves and whatnot, so people did what makes sense. They brought them into the house at night. But the houses were small, smaller than 200 square feet. To give you an idea, your bedroom's 120 square feet or so. And in that small space, the diseases passed from the animals to the people, and life expectancy began to plummet. It's during this period that people began to partner up. Now we can begin to speak of polygamy or monogamy and the other gamies, and the definitions and the limits of marriage. Maybe the Bible was right. We started with a Garden of Eden-like life, and we gave it all up for farming. But there's really no way to go back now, is there?